So we're live. Hello, hello. Hey, everyone. Let's wait a minute or so, and then we will get started with the panel discussion. Let's wait a minute or so, and then I will have a quick question for everyone in the chat. Cool. So before we start, let's a quick chat, like a quick question for everyone in chat. First of all, let me check if we enable. Yep, we enabled the chat for everyone. So let us know in the chat where you're from and what is your job title. I'm particularly curious about this time about job title because it's super interesting to see who is like in sales, who is trying to like implement sales in their B2B sales process. So let us know in the chat where you're from and your job title. So I'll go like.
Hey, I see a couple people from Texas. I'm here in Austin.
Oh, cool. Didn't know that. All right, let's see. Houston Director, VP of Business Development, Marketing Manager, Recruitment. Hi, Shreya.
Hey guys.
Hello, everyone. Okay, we have everyone here. Let's see. Sales engineer in Chicago, Boston, CGO. What does it mean? Anyone knows? Customer growth officer or just curious. Sales manager, country head, VP of product, director of expansions, BDR, sales development rep, SDRs, partnership manager. Cool. So it sounds like, sales and GTM consulting, VP of RevOps. Okay, sounds like we have all sales related and growth related roles here in the room, in the chat today. Cool. Thanks, everyone. So now let's get started with the panel discussion. Today we won't have slides, pitch decks, or like any useful resources, I would say. But what we will do here today, we will just talk about the future, how to implement AI, and maybe some practical insights, some tools, ideas, workflows. Also, to make this like live discussion interesting, what I will do here today, I will just like type everything we discussed today, all insights. I will put everything together in one Notion file, and then we will share this Notion file with everyone, with all polls results, with some cool insights from the chat, from comments. So feel free to ask your questions during the chat, during the panel discussion. Then I will try to incorporate your questions into the discussion. Also, again, we will share this link to the Notion file with all like cool discounts, with all additional links, guides, useful pieces of content, so you can maybe implement something a little bit later. Plus, I will be like collecting all tools, all interesting insights into this Notion file, so stay tuned. And yeah, by the end of the like panel discussion, I will share it in the chat, so stay connected. All right, let's get started. So before we kick things off, could each of you maybe introduce yourself a little bit and like share a bit about your journey and to where you are today, basically. So let's get started maybe with Bethany.
Hey everyone, I'm Bethany. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Sendspark. And Sendspark, if you don't know, it's an AI personalized video platform that you can use to take one video of yourself and then use AI to clone your voice and personalize it at scale for email sequencing, like you could embed it in Reply or other outbound tools. How I get started, I was actually a marketer at two other startups and doing a lot of emails. Like I was at 10-person companies both times. So it was really like that marketer that does lead gen and a mix of everything, and just found that video was getting so much better replies from our team, but it wasn't scalable the way, like if you're using Reply, you can take one email and use dynamic fields. and personalize it. And so it just seemed like something lacking. And my co-founder and I set out to build Sendspark to be the dynamic video platform that it is 5 years ago. So it's been a journey getting here.
Cool. Alec, you.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Alec. I'm an enterprise product manager at HeyGen. I've been here at HeyGen for a little over a year. I'm kind of a career startup person, so I've worked in different functions in product and sales, been a founder of a few things. So kind of been around the block, and I got connected to the HeyGen CEO when they were, starting a business to business sales team a little over a year ago. They'd traditionally been more of a B2C creators, influencers tool. So I joined to help kind of figure out how to get HeyGen to be a better fit for bigger and bigger businesses. And I worked on a range of products, and excited to share whatever I've learned so far.
Cool. Thanks, Shreya. What about you?
Hey guys, I am Surya, co-founder and CEO of Persana, and we are the super app for prospecting. So we integrate with amazing different data providers. I think we have over 75 right now, including Sendspark. So yeah, we help you run GTM workflows at scale. So say if you want to do something like take someone that's hiring, get their contact information, use our agent to research them, and send an email out with Reply.io. You can do all of that within one platform like Persana. How I got started in this space. So me and my co-founder actually met while working at LinkedIn. We both were there for about 4 years working in ML and with our enterprise customers. So got a sneak peek into what happens into that world and thought that AI could really change that. And that's how Persana came out to be.
Awesome, thanks. And fun fact, like all the tools, employees we have like from on this panel discussion, we all integrate with each other in the different ways. So you can check all these products and build probably like native integrated workflows. So that's cool. Sales workflows. So okay, cool. Let's get started with the quick question. With the first question. So basically, AI is like everyone nowadays, everywhere nowadays, on LinkedIn, lots of tools. Every day I can see bunch of new startups with fundraising and so on. So, but I'm curious, when was the first time you started thinking about AI in B2B sales? Was it before ChatGPT era, pre-ChatGPT era? It's like with a rise of ChatGPT or something different. So curious to know your thoughts. Maybe Alec, you, yeah.
Yeah, I guess one thing that it definitely wowed me was, we obviously meeting recorders have been around a few years now, I think definitely predating ChatGPT, but I definitely had one, set it up, forgot to turn it off, and never really knew what I would do. I wasn't going to spend an hour going back reviewing an hour-long sales call I had. I never really thought about how to use that data. But recently when I joined HeyGen, the first thing we got set up was Gong recording. And I guess just to give them a shout out, I think other meeting bots have this too, but just to be able to use AI to analyze a sales call, and do a pretty good job of telling you, what the prospect was interested in, what did they object to, what are the next steps. Just having that made it so much more efficient to, just as a salesperson getting the HeyGen team started, take a lot of calls, not have to take notes, and yet still know exactly what I need to do to follow up, be able to share, a quick summary with other teammates and coworkers. That was definitely a wow moment for me, and just kind of how to operate as a sales team and how to use AI to be more efficient, with no extra work, just literally turnkey. So that was a moment for me recently.
Yeah, you.
Yeah, so my co-founder and I have been working in AI for, I think he's like an AI ML engineer. So I think he really brings that technical expertise. I have been kind of like dabbling with different AI work at LinkedIn, working on like personalization and things like that. We were one of the first people to even get access to like OpenAI's API. So that was even
Mm.
before ChatGPT. So I think we got a sneak peek into what the world might be today. Never expected it to be at this scale, and I think that's what's still very exciting. I think you guys might agree, even being like a PM and founder, like, even think about like what's next year's roadmap. I'm like, we could do this, but who knows what might come out from then. So yeah, it's pretty exciting space to be in.
For me, it's kind of funny. I was thinking about it. What really happened is before the AI, like we'll call it a bubble. I don't think it's a bubble, but before the AI like current situation, there was the Web3 bubble that was just so hot in the startup space. And like everyone, like I'll say like founder friends, investors, everyone's like, how can you incorporate Web3 into Sendspark? And I remember thinking so hard, and I couldn't think of any way that we could. But I did make in that time when I was trying to force this technology not meant for us. And I remember thinking like, what are the real problems that our customers have like adopting video, and those ended up being problems that AI solves really well. So like not knowing what to say on camera, we built an AI video script generator. Feeling uncomfortable with how you look, we like added a tool to touch up your appearance. And just being able to scale, right, is a big thing. Like you make one video, you want to send it out to more people. And that's something that AI solves for us. So it's funny because I kind of like got there just by really thinking about applying the wrong tool, and then got really lucky that we've been able to apply it the right way.
I see. Yeah, it's a few years ago. The same here, by the way. You remind me a story. You remind me a story when we were thinking about like just for fun, maybe. How do you like put B2B data into a blockchain and tokenize it or something? So everyone can share B2B data, then like check updates. I thought it was a fun like project to think about. Okay, so chat, before we move to the next question, we will have a quick poll for you. We are curious, what is your current level of AI adoption in B2B sales in your organization? Do you use any tools? Maybe you already implemented batching workflows. Maybe you have like everything AI-fied or something. Let's see. Let's see the results. Okay, so let me end the poll. Cool. So sounds like we have a winner. It's like maybe one or two tools. Moderate use, probably something is automated with AI or one process. Cool. So great. Now, what about the next question? Can you share maybe a most recent example where AI surprised you in B2B sales context? Maybe new tools, products, workflows, new startups, new ideas, maybe your own workflows you implemented. Alec, what about you?
Yeah, I would say it maybe as a different example. It's surprising in maybe a counterintuitive way. I remember a few years ago, some of these tools like Copy AI and Jasper were coming out, and I think it was definitely pre-ChatGPT. Maybe it was for GPT 2.2 was out. So you really still kind of had to be pretty technical to know how to leverage the APIs, and some of those writing tools were coming out, and I remember being kind of blown away. Just as a salesperson or anyone working in the go-to-market side of a business, being able to generate personalized, email copy for different industries, and just the possibilities seemed really amazing. I thought, wow, these businesses are, great. And then just the short amount of time after that, when ChatGPT came out and completely made that capability that those startups had built and worked hard on, ubiquitous for free for people. That was surprising. And that was like, okay, we're definitely in a new world here. Building software alone, building great, features is not really a moat, right? AI is going to make it really easy for different companies to build software products, and you really have to be creative, you have to understand your customer, and you have to keep shipping and, you know, keep evolving as a business. You know, we're not in the old world of, you know, software never changing for 20 years now. It's, you know, competition's leveled up. So that was a wake-up call, I think.
Bethany?
Yeah, you know, one thing that reminded me of is I think AI has made like doing technical things a lot more accessible to non-technical people. And one example is I feel like in the last few months, I've seen a lot of like data tools or even like sales tools that have a data feature let you run queries by like typing into AI. So like instead of actually having to know SQL or like know how to bake these charts, you just like ask for what you want. And then like the AI will like write the question the right way. And I feel like that's just a cool way to bridge the gap between humans and computers and give a little bit more of an equal playing field to some of us non-technical people out here trying to do things.
Yeah, and I regret spending all that time learning SQL 10 years ago when, you know, should have just waited.
I actually did do a SQL coding boot camp like 5 years ago, and I failed it. So it's a nice way to be like, good thing I don't have to redo that.
Yeah.
Got it. Three, yeah.
Yeah, I think for us it was like, you know, we use AI almost like from coding to like market, like all in every part of the workflow. I think that's one of the cool things about building like an AI first company, because I don't have to get like major approvals for any tooling. I'm like, oh, I see this, let's try it, let's use it. So we're always trying new toolings, using that. So that's really exciting. I think like for me personally, the adoption curve was like trying to think kind of like an engineer when you are like prompt engineering, kind of like you have to put on that like the AI follows exactly the instructions. So that was kind of like a learning for me of like, even when using like AI toolings or building workflows, things like that, it's like I think for me what helps is just kind of like writing it out first, and then okay, like how do I put in a prompt and make it as specific as possible.
Cool. Just noting your insights. Cool. The same here, what I also noticed, probably a bunch of tools recently focused on when it comes to B2B sales that help with using queries to find leads. Then you just type something like find me leads, let's say in San Francisco with less than 10 employees using this specific technology, and then they're just doing some kind of filtering for you. That's like another example of queries, not just for SQL, but notice of tools. Cool. Question number 3. What like aspects of AI in B2B sales excites you most, maybe excites you most, and why? For example, maybe it's like lead generation, lead scoring, sales team training, analytics, forecasting, cold outreach, personalization. So what is like an interesting aspect of AI for you and why? Let's, yep. Who wants to start this time first?
I can go
I'll
first
start,
again.
or you go for it.
Yeah, I'll just plug HeyGen here. And I guess I never really properly introduced what we do, but we're you know, similarly to Sendspark a little bit, we're a visual kind of AI video platform. We're trying to make video creation accessible to everybody. And one of the products we have is what we call an interactive avatar. So you know, HeyGen, you're able to kind of log on and submit 2 minutes of video or a photo of yourself and get a talking avatar out of it that you can create videos with. And one of the products I've worked on was having that avatar be able to basically read a script or say any text that you send it in, you know, under a second. So kind of really dynamic, instantaneous kind of conversation experience with basically, you know, an AI or chat GPT on the back end. And we released this just as kind of a demo and sort of a tech demo. And this is actually one of the things that, you know, Reply has available on their platform for customers to integrate. But we've seen some businesses use this in a sales training context. You know, one example like in a pharma, right? We have pharmaceutical salespeople practice, interacting with, an avatar of a doctor, basically, selling medications, and you can program ChatGPT or the language model on the back end to be rude, or say, oh, I don't have a lot of time, I have another patient here, and sort of give a real life context where you're looking at a person. You're not just typing or even using a voice. You're getting that kind of visual feedback that can help in the real life sales context. So we have another, this is use case kind of popping up. We have another customer who's done this for like sales training in schools, and they've actually been conducting some research to see how it improves. So I think we'll see this see this evolve and be pretty helpful across a number of industries.
Bethany,
I think that
yeah.
is,
Go
oh
ahead.
yeah,
Sri.
yeah.
Oh,
That
cool.
excites me the most is like when I think one of the main ones is like when I'm able to just do things and like on autopilot and forget about it. So when I set up any sort of workflow or use any tooling where I'm like, okay, like we've set it up in a way that like, okay, now it doesn't even require any sort of human interaction. I think that's what starts to excite me, because that's when you reach like fully automating work. So I think those are the ones that like really excite me, where I'm like, okay, we found like a prompt and workflow and integrations that work well together, and now it's just running on its own. So that's pretty cool for me.
All right, so how to summarize it? Find workflows where AI can like fully replace like human interactions, right? Okay, cool. Bethany, you.
Yeah, maybe we're all just AIs here now. Or yeah, so sorry. I definitely feel the same way as Surya. When we can fully automate workflows, I love that. I'll touch on another use case too that I think is interesting. When it comes to reaching out to people, like cold email or warm email or however you're reaching out to people, I think that it's often really hard to know what to say. And the more you like think about your messaging, the harder it gets. One thing we've been doing is using transcripts from sales calls and customer onboarding calls, and then turning that into outbound messaging to like really identify pain points, use cases, and like specific messaging that's really relevant to us. And even like market, like even LinkedIn content and webinar content and things like that. But I think it's like cool to see those full cycle things, to be like, well, you're not gonna want to set on hours of calls to get insights, but if you can just like use the knowledge here from one person on the team and apply it to a different part, it helps tie some loose ends.
That's wonderful example. Why? Because we also do the same here at Reply. So we analyze all calls, transcripts, we store them separately in Airtable. Then we just ask AI just to sort pain points by like priority, by number of mentions, and then we use the same language they mention in cold emails. For example, no examples today, but yeah, that's a great example for copywriting, to be like to use their language basically in your cold emails. It's a great example. Okay, cool. By the way, also when it comes to Alex example, I also heard about a tool, a new one, basically called. Let me check their name. It's called Rela.com. So what they do, they like record. But I'm not sure if you have any field sales reps here. But what they do, they just record your interactions with let's say when you sell something in their houses. So they record this conversation, and then you can use this data for training when you have time, and then they just improve their conversion rates because of these like conversations. It's not just for inside sales reps, but field sales reps. That's a cool example.
That's cool. Yeah.
It's Rela.com with double L. Okay, so the next poll. All right, so we have lots of people who mentioned they use one or two tools. So question number 2 for the audience: let us know which AI sales tools interest you the most. Like maybe something one. Let's see. So we can use this. and share with everyone. So you can maybe prioritize your, I don't know, AI implementation workflows internally. But let's see. How do you think? Oh, you already see the polling. Give me a second. Also in the chat, maybe you have any particular questions, feel free to leave your comments in the chat, and I will incorporate your questions into our conversation. Okay, so share results. Let's see. Okay, number one, generative AI. Number two, AI prospecting with tools like Persona. Then AI videos with Sendspark and HeyGen. AI training, conversation recording, and other. Leave in comments. Let's see the comments. No comments on this. So what do you think about this poll, Aaron? Bethany, any thoughts maybe?
I'm surprised to
Yeah.
see the AI SDRs pretty low. I mean, maybe, HeyGen, we're kind of early in our outbound journey and building that up. So I've been curious about it, but I know, videos in personalized videos and emails are powerful, but in terms of just like AI SDR that's automatically researching and contacting for you, it seems attractive to me, but maybe it's not as
I
good
feel like
in
it's low
practice.
trust. Like I feel like it's
Yeah.
one thing that everyone wants, but I think people are really skeptical of AI SDRs. Like whenever I hear people talk about it in conversation, someone's like, "Oh, I'm using it." The other person will always be like, "Well, does it work?" And so
Right.
I don't know. I mean, probably more to share that, but I think that.
See, I want to write a post one day about this. Why I think it's super important to why we have all this conversation on LinkedIn when it comes to all these tools, because I noted that outbound became so fragmented in terms of segments, tools. We have different use cases, different, I would say even GTM motions, and for some of them, sales engagement still work. For some of them, like they use AI powered just persona research. Some of them use gross outbound techniques. Some of them even don't have SDRs to do outbound sales. So it's like this cold outreach space is so fragmented nowadays. So in my opinion, like sales influencers, they just a little bit, they don't understand each other a little bit when it comes to all these like different markets, different segments, let's say SMB, mid-market, enterprise. So, and they still, they can use all different types of cold outreach for different approaches. And that's I think the future of outbound sales. Bunch of frameworks, bunch of tools and ideas how to achieve the same, like get more meetings. It's up to you how to do that nowadays, I think, because back in 2017, 18, it was easier because we just had something like sales engagement and that's it. And everyone agreed it's a cool way to generate more meetings, but nowadays we have more opportunities for this. Sriya, what about you?
Yeah, I think one main thing, and like anyone who comes on like even our onboarding calls is, all these tools are great, but you need to have number one, like an email infrastructure and foundation set up, right? Depending on like the volume, like if you want to hit the inbox and things like that. I always say, like, if you've never done outbound before, like you need warmed up inboxes, you need to have like a plan of what sort of sequences you want. Even if you're using AI SDR companies, I have some friends who actually run these companies. I've seen what their onboarding process are like. You need to kind of have a plan of like, okay, this is who I'm targeting. This is my messaging. This is my value prop. AI won't replace that for you, right? Like, it will help you take your ideas and scale them or help you experiment better, but it won't replace your foundations. It won't take away like what, a salesperson is actually good at. And I think it's communicating that across. So I've seen AI SDR autopilot sort of workflows be successful with those sort of people. And I think that's where kind of like the misconceptions or gap might be, is like, okay, if your targeting isn't good, if your email infrastructure isn't set up good, then those kind of toolings are set up to fail. But if you have those, if you know exactly what you want to do and using AI to like 10x that, great way for you to be able to do that with AI.
And I'm going to add to that a little bit because I think that's completely true. And I think also people will jump to full scale automation really quickly. And the reality is like, well, how are you going to know if your messaging's good? Like, you don't know. You might think it's amazing. You might have spent 10 hours on it, but you're not going to know until you actually like send it to some people, like see how they respond, tweak. And so you do get like learning advantages to doing things on a smaller scale. So I think what Surya said is really right. It's like, don't jump to automation, like do the things manually, learn, get the feedback, make sure you're actually sending something an email that you would send before you send it out on blast. And then you want to ramp up once you feel like you nailed it and it's time to scale.
That's a great suggestion, and we will discuss this a little bit later, because it's a great suggestion. Always do things manually, then see the way how you can automate it, and it's like really cool example. All right, so the next question here is like, do you use any AI power tools in your orgs already when it comes to B2B sales? Maybe you want to share some great examples of workflows with the audience. So, yep.
Yeah, a super popular one that we run two pretty successful plays. One is our inbound automation. So, you know, when someone signs up, we for Persona, we have them fill out some like onboarding questions. And my favorite thing is like, you know, Persona is all about like bringing all these apps and toolings together. So we have them fill out like, what are the current toolings that you're using? And we set up an automation in their like, you know, welcome message to be like similar to like, hey, I saw you're using like, let's say Sendspark, HeyReach, and Reply.io. We integrate with these and I can show you a sample workflow if you haven't set it up already. So that is kind of like an automation that I wrote, you know, one of those like autopilot ones, set it up, forget about it. It works great. Second one that works really great for us is I think a hiring signal works really great. So we run an automation for anyone posting new jobs in like, you know, GTM functions like SDR, head of BD, things like that. And whenever like a new job posting comes up, we like our autopilot sends out messaging, connects with them on LinkedIn, say like, hey, I see you guys are growing your go-to-market functions. You know, how's your sales AI stack looking? So still keeping it pretty casual in these conversations, but it's so targeted that it's like, oh, people want to respond like, oh yeah, like I am hiring for this role. I was like, oh yeah, like I am, you know, using these toolings. Like I'd love to know how I can use them together. So it's like in a subtle way of personalization. And this is one of those like autopilot workflows I love because I just set it up and forget about it. So yeah, those are some successful ones for us.
Alec, what about your team, maybe? Or maybe use cases?
Yeah, I think we do definitely have some of that like you know, some of that automation around, you know, prospects that come in, and you know, we're, as I mentioned, still pretty heavily kind of working through like inbound demand, and we focus traditionally on kind of generating that, you know, kind of using AI to create engaging content is definitely a good way. You know, maybe diminishing returns as more people discover the tools, but you know, I know Reply has been successful. I think the CEO has kind of built up a pretty healthy following on TikTok, using HeyGen videos and just, you know, being able to scalably create content that's engaging, and you know, lets people know about your brand. You know, HeyGen, we've definitely done that a lot. Yeah, but in terms of the tactical stuff, I think what Shreya mentioned is just kind of getting automations in to fill out your Salesforce or whatever kind of database you have, enriching all that data, and just making it as personalized as possible. A bunch of tools can help you do that.
Yeah, cool. By the way, just for everyone, for the context, we here at Reply use HeyGen for like creating AI avatars for TikTok for our CEO, and we use basically our TikTok account powered by HeyGen, basically for creating those avatars, is our main like source of prospects for AI SDR currently. So it's our main GTM motion when it comes to AI SDRs. So yep, we use I would say those AI tools for inbound led outbound, what we can call this, I think, or social selling basically. So if you want, just go to the LinkedIn, sorry, TikTok, and check out our account. You can
And it's
find
not that easy, I will say.
Yeah.
You guys
Oh,
do a
it's not
great job.
easy.
Yeah, you gotta work hard at it. But you guys do a great job.
Yeah, so yeah, check it out. So yeah, we already use it just for creating like lots of content at scale, and like it's pretty viral content basically. Again, we started doing things manually. We figured out how it works, and then we started automating those things with AI. Bethany, what about you and your team? Maybe use cases of your customers.
Yeah, I'll add a couple other plays. We're running one that's like kind of the inverse of yours. So instead of putting like videos out, like what we'll do is we'll have our team or just like successful customers, like people post on LinkedIn or channels, and then we'll scrape the people that engaged with that content, and then we'll send a Sendspark AI personalized video that's like, hey, saw you like this post, wanted to make a quick video to show you how our platform works. And so it's like a 2-minute video, but we're doing that in outreach, and it adds like maybe 2 to 5 demos per like profile from our team that we have reaching out. So if you are doing social selling or something like that, like I think a lot of the magic happens in the follow-up and reaching out to people that engage in a way that feels really helpful and not spammy. So that's one outbound play, and then I'll add an inbound play. I love Suria's use case and kind of want to try that out for us. Will you do something not at that level, but a little bit earlier? So with Sendspark, we don't have a free plan, you have to pay. And so we get a lot of people that will start the sign up process and then drop off before choosing a plan. And then we'll use AI, enrich the LinkedIn profile, and send out like a personalized DM from our sales team. And so like, in a way, those are like super hot leads. They started signing up, maybe have some questions about pricing. And we've gotten that to be fully automated, which is
Oh, cool. Cool. By the way, quick question, maybe do you use like AI personalized videos for LinkedIn DMs or just for cold emails?
No, we do for LinkedIn too.
For
Yeah.
LinkedIn too. Okay, cool. That's a great example.
I think one thing
because
Bethany said was super duper important is, like that initial message signals, all that stuff, super important. The follow-up, like 99% of people miss those follow-ups, consistency, multi-channel outreach as well. So it's like, just honestly just sending it like, hey, did you get a chance to see this? Like even me, I get so many cold emails. Like I'm sure you guys get all these like requests as well. And like sometimes it's just like a simple follow-up that like gets those responses. So don't forget the simple stuff.
Yeah.
Love it. Thanks. Okay, so the next question here is, let's see. Maybe I'm not sure about this question, but I just wanted to ask it. Why? Because what I've noticed recently that maybe one of the most successful use cases for AI is like for training your sales team. Because I've noticed a bunch of tools that help you now automate these role-playing things, suggest you what to improve in your pitch, in your conversation, your tone, in your value proposition, and so on. So when it comes maybe to, based on your experience, let me rephrase it. So based on your experience, what's the most effective way to train salespeople to use AI? Just, I don't know, just share guides, examples, lead by example, or just some training. Maybe you know some great courses, webinars, events about implementing AI in B2B sales process. Any suggestions here?
I think I always say don't try to reinvent the wheel if you're first starting out. Like use what works already and then like start getting creative and scale it. And I think webinars and like educational like research, there's so many great content out there now almost weekly. I personally try to attend at least one a week, even for myself, to like learn and stay up to date. What are the best practices? YouTube has a lot of best content. So that's kind of what I say. It's like try to take what already works, starting off with that, and then let's get creative, keep the learnings going, and always also try to like network with peers. So it's like, I think we built like a great kind of sort of community of like, oh, like what's working with you? Oh, great. Like I'd love to use this place. So that's also something that's been like really
Mhm.
helpful as well.
Yeah. And I would also just preface that like the goal is not to like use AI, right? Like the goal is to grow your business and
Mm.
to do these things you want. So a lot of times, the best like look up specific use cases, look up the main problems you're trying to solve, and then see what's out there and been posted recently, and then you'll see the newest tactics. But like, don't lose sight of the main goal, which is to do things the right way, and hopefully that can be done faster and more scalably with newer tech.
Yeah, I echo those comments. And also, I think having a culture where you're just empowering people to try new things, whether that's granting them, sharing ChatGPT, making it okay, telling peers that, yeah, I use ChatGPT for this, it helped me write this email. It's like creating that culture that encourages people to try out new things because there are so many new tools.
Mhm.
Probably in most teams, there will be, a few minority that will be kind of early adopters and one of them might find something that's really applicable to your organization. And so again, just having that culture of sharing these things, I think in this day and age is really helpful. Maybe, kids shouldn't use it to do their homework, but I think adults can definitely use it to help their jobs. So yeah, definitely having that attitude about it will help.
I see. I see. Thanks. So before we move to the next question, I noticed in the chat, so I haven't noticed actually any questions so far. Maybe if it's easier, just use Q&A section. So we will just pick a question and incorporate it into the conversation. So no problem at all. Why I asked the question, because I noticed that sometimes it's like super hard to like to implement those AI changes in your organization. So you have to like share examples, sometimes even prompts, tools, even like videos. So that's what I noticed. It's super challenging to like to create this, I would say, kind of type of environment where everyone starts to like play around with new products and tools. But yeah, that's, in my opinion, a super important question. All right. And now we're moving to the final part of our conversation. First of all, the next question here is maybe how do you see, based on your own products, your own use cases, maybe some kind of shifts in B2B sales, how do you see AI fundamentally changing the roles and responsibilities of salespeople in like over the next 5 years, like 3-5 years, or it's going to be the same, maybe just improvements, and we already reached a peak of those things? So what are your thoughts here? Three.
Yeah, I think the initial is going to be automating any sort of like manual work, taking any sort of like, oh, hey, I repeatedly do this process, or like, yeah, I repeatedly do any sort of account research, or I can't sit and create personalized videos for everyone, so let me automate and scale this. I think we're already kind of entering to phase 2 of what I call is like more targeted. So it's not about like, let me just send it to every prospect in the world, but like, how can I use AI to get a lot more detailed and targeted? So it's actually something my prospect is like, wow, like, this person really caught me at the right time, or, they really did their research on why I would need this platform or tooling. I think in the future, though, I think like the nature of selling, it would be honestly very different because AI will already take a lot of this stuff, autopilot and automate it. So I think we're going to honestly be spending a lot of time on this sort of either like social selling, getting brand awareness. I think the SDR role will be a lot more technical, and they'll be also able to scale a lot of things they didn't think was possible even before. So I think just anyone in the GTM function today, just stay adaptive to new toolings, be willing to experiment. And I think a lot of exciting stuff can come from that.
Bethany.
Yeah. I definitely agree with a lot of that, where like automation is key. And I think that's something that will change from where we are right now. Is right now we're in the co-pilot phase where there's a bunch of AI tools that work like 80% and they're being branded as like co-pilots to help you, assist you and do that. And I think they sound really cool in theory, but when you're actually like in it, you don't want something that's only going to do 80% and that you can't rely on. And like an example is like I was trying out this SEO tool, and at first I thought it was so cool because it like gave me the structure of a blog post, but like all the stats were wrong, the quotes were wrong, like I couldn't actually use it, I ended up just throwing the whole thing away. And so what I think we're going to find is use cases where you can use AI to like 100% automate it, and it's great. And like Sri is saying, like the manual note taking and like a lot of these manual flows are like for that 100% automation, it's going to be super sticky and great. But then for the other things where it never really worked well, I think that's where the human SDR are going to go in like 100% and really own that and do a lot more like genuine personalization. And we'll see a little bit more divergence there. And of course, maybe more will be taken over by AI and more will be able to be automated. But I think that it's going to split from like co-pilot phase to automated human.
Yeah, I think that's right. One thing that we've been doing recently, we're again experimenting with a few different ways to kind of verticalize our products and sell to people in a specific industry. And we're doing some cold calls. Like we found some numbers and we're just dialing and trying to get the human on the phone. Because we're not reaching them with our existing efforts, and we don't really know enough about them to personalize our automated outbound to them yet. So I think what kind of a lot of stuff will be automated, a lot of things will be operationally easier and more scalable with AI, but that I think will make the other stuff equally more important. Just really speaking to customers yourself, understanding their pain points, and getting the learnings there, and you being creative, probably do things that don't scale to get those learnings in order to apply them over here. It'll probably be harder, but it will be more rewarding. And I think sales, is going to be a much more creative field in the next 5 years. And yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, I agree with you. When it comes to tools, and what I also notice, it's super important to see who's building those tools. For example, what I've noted that if you have AI SEO product, so it's super important to figure out the background of the founder, and if they are like a successful maybe SEO expert, and they grew lots of websites, and then they know how to because what's super important to know that behind all those AI tools, it's like also prompt engineering. So it's super important to have these great examples for prompt engineering. So yeah, that's my recommendation here. When it comes to our use cases, what I also trying to do here, I just created a custom GPT, for example. I was creating like hundreds of LinkedIn posts myself, and then what I did nowadays, I just downloaded all my LinkedIn posts. I tag them by type, like topic, number of likes, number of views, and then I just like trying to adjust my custom prompts, and then I asked, for example, ChatGPT to write in my own style, and typically it just it does a great job when it comes to this. And now I have just to adjust some things in posts, and they're quite cool. So I think a bunch of potential here for salespeople, just to maybe feed, for example, ChatGPT with your best email templates. What I also noticed challenging for some SDRs, and myself particularly, sometimes when they ask about competitor, what's the difference between you and competitor? And sometimes it's like challenging to have a new SDR like respond to this message, because they may not know about our key advantages, like selling points and so on. So what we can do here, we can just download all our emails, similar emails, and then ask, okay, now reply back to this prospect in the same way, handling this particular objection. So bunch of use cases when it comes to knowledge bases. Okay, so quick question for everyone. Is the heavy focus on AI tools creating a technology dependency that might make salespeople less adaptable in the long run, or it's like false statement? What do you think?
No, definitely not. Because I think like salespeople already have to be so quick to like adapt and like use new tooling. I think they're one of the most like people willing to try new things. I think that's one of the cool things about being in sales tech. Like almost every salesperson I've met, like they're usually one of the first people to adopt new toolings compared to other industries because anything that can like set them apart from a competitor, anything that can give them that competitive advantage, they love that stuff. So if you are some platform or tooling that can like show that value to salespeople, I think they're like more than willing to try it. Like, why not? If something can help me close my deals more efficiently or land in the inbox better, or help me book a meeting, like they're more than willing to try. I think they're one of the most like adaptive people I've met compared to other industries at least, and functions.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, sales, it's a revenue generator, revenue center, not a cost center. So anytime you can show ROI, there's always budget for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's no way that using new tools is just like opening up your brain in a new way. And I think salespeople are all about that, right? Like every call you have, every email you send, every cold call that doesn't go well, you're like learning, adapting, or learning based on what does work well. So I feel like if anything, it's going to be like salespeople adopting tools are going to make the tools evolve,
Maybe okay. So maybe I asked this question in a wrong way. So what I meant here. So for example, sometimes I can like create an email response in a minute myself, but then I just start asking ChatGPT, okay, write a perfect answer to this email, and it takes me like 10 minutes instead of 1 minute. So sometimes AI makes it make things like harder and longer instead of easier. So because of this, because I spend literally 10 minutes instead of 1 minute just saying something, sure, let's chat or something like that, just an example. So, and another example here, some of them say on LinkedIn particularly, okay, just start cold calling. It's the best way nowadays to reach out to your decision makers. And then because of all these AI tools, maybe in some point you can lose this like really cool and important sales skill. So that was my thought for this question. Any ideas, suggestions here?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that you said was like, don't take it to like, if I can type a response out in like 1 minute, like just do the 1 minute. You don't need to go to GPT or use a tooling to do that. I think I honestly think of it as like setting up new playbooks or workflows. Like that's what I see of like AI really helping it of like, okay, I've been doing the same email response for like 10 different people and having personal, if that's when AI can help. If it's just like a one-off thing, honestly, not worth your time, because I think people also need to remember that like adopting, onboarding any new AI tooling will require some sort of onboarding process. Like even the most expert people who use Persona, they spend time on like creating the workflows because like they're going to scale it, it's going to send to like hundreds of thousands of people, things like that. If it's just like a one-off use case, like just do it yourself. It's not worth it to like bring AI to automate. But if you're like, hey, I'm doing this one-off use case for like 100 different people, that's when okay, like let me spend like 15 minutes building a workflow real quick. Makes sense.
I also think it's like important to know like people want to either keep their brain on or turn it off, or like I do at least. So I feel like sometimes when it's like you're using AI to like write or something, but you're gonna have to redo it anyway, you may as well just said what you're thinking, and it's gonna be better than like starting from a mold that's not that good and you're just teasing that. So I think that it really does come down to like either keeping your brain fully engaged for what it should be doing or trying to figure out a way to like automate it. So for certain types of emails or certain types of things, like it's just automatically categorized, responded to, closed out, or forwarded to the right team or something like that. But like better to do full automation when possible than, or focus when possible versus a weird middle ground.
Alec?
Not much to add. Yeah, I
Okay.
think hopefully we'll all get Neuralinks and be fully cyborg, and we'll be really dependent on technology soon. So
Yeah, I was thinking about this, and I said, okay, probably I don't want to have a Tesla robot in my house. And I just realized, okay, so maybe it's too much for me at this point, but let's see. Okay, so two final questions here. How do you see, maybe, will we have any new sales positions, job titles, or specializations? And because of AI, how do you think? Will we have new sales position emerge because of these AI changes?
Yeah, 100%. I think there will be like, depending on as companies grow and they have budget and things like that, like in Alaska, we've seen kind of like the role of sales ops and rev ops kind of evolve. I think we're going to also see some sort of like GTM engineer, AI sales ops sort of role come in where, and I think some companies, some like AI first companies already have one person who like, knows the automation, sets up these workflows, sets up these toolings, and then you have kind of like the closers who like show up for the meetings and take it from the next step. So you're going to have people get more specialized in these functions, I would say. And like one other thing I will just put in is like not everyone needs to be like some workflow expert at your company. We usually, when we work with companies, we usually have like, we have like a team of like 10 salespeople per se, and say, give us 1 or 2 POCs where we're going to like work with them and like assist them setting up a workflow. And then, ideally it should just run on autopilot, like after we figure that out, or like, ideally like we already have the setup, it'll require minimal work from like the rest of the team. So that's kind of how we are interacting and working with people. So I think there will be a couple of people whose functions will be to like set these new toolings up, setting up these workflows, maintaining that operational efficiency of these. And then, hopefully most of the time that salespeople will do is like getting on calls and closing those deals.
You, Bethany, you probably.
I don't have more, I feel the exact same way. Like I think it probably isn't even going to be the SDR forever setting it up, right? I think that's going to fall under a different role where there's someone that orchestrates the entire system. And then like the sales reps focus on like truly adding that personalization where it matters, like after a certain point. And I think right now it's kind of fun because it's like a playground where everyone's trying new things. But I do think at some point it would make sense to have like, the entire revenue orchestration under one person or one team.
Thanks. And Alec, probably your final thoughts here.
yeah, I actually don't know that there are going to be new roles. I would say it's kind of like, a year ago, where people were saying, oh, there's going to be a new prompt engineer. You saw, in every company there were open roles for head prompt engineer. And then I feel like now everyone realizes that everyone's got to kind of do that. And I think a lot of these capabilities are going to be similar. The head of procurement now will also need to learn how to just evaluate different AI tools. And same thing for go-to-market, RevOps roles. They'll need to know how to apply these to their particular organization. So I would say probably not new roles, just a lot more new technology to understand.
More skill. Okay, it's like additional skill to evaluate. Okay, thanks. Probably have to go, Alec.
Yeah, I have to jump, everyone. Thanks. This has been really fun. And yeah, you can go and follow me on LinkedIn. And thanks to Reply and everyone, Bethany, Sriya.
Okay,
Thanks.
Bye.
And probably a final question for you. How do you think? Is AI now a necessity, or it's still just a nice to have, or just like play around, start like a proof of concept? It's Sriya's idea. I love it. Start as a proof of concept. If it works, just scale it. So what do you think? It's a necessity, or it's just nice to have yet?
I think it's a necessity. I think at least in some way, like at least in some sort of way, like even if you're not like fully setting up a persona workflow or sending persona, like you need to at least be using like some sort of GPT. Like honestly, I've seen in my workday like how much more it's made it efficient. And I think like just take a look at your business in the competitive landscape, right? Like, is there a competitive advantage to using AI? 100%. So it's like, do you want to keep up with it? Do you want at least like, I think they always say like the best day to get started was like yesterday. So I think that's honestly how I feel about AI. Not every tooling will be for you. Not every thing is a need necessarily. I'm not going to say that like go ahead and spend like millions of dollars or like a bunch of different software, but don't shut it out as like a nice to have is what I would say. It's like, okay, find what works for you. Take that time to figure it out, invest there, and then that will compound and help your team for like years to come, I'd say.
Yeah. And I'll just say like, if you look at your day and you're finding yourself doing things that are repetitive, you're like, oh, I'm copying and pasting this email template, or I'm like doing the same thing I did 5 minutes ago or an hour ago. Like that's something you need to automate to like get hours of your day back. Like you only live so long. So you don't want to waste your time doing something that an algorithm could do for you. But if you're perfectly happy and content, obviously it's not a necessity, don't change anything. But if you feel like your time's being wasted, then yeah, you got to figure it out.
Got it. All right, so thanks, I guess, for your comments for this panel discussion, for your ideas. That was, I think, wonderful panel discussion. All right, so I already shared with you a file. Some quick note there. What I will also do here, I will just run this webinar transcript through AI, and I'll just put some really awesome ideas, and I will just update this file in an hour or so with more tools, with more ideas. Also, we added a bunch of useful content below, like in this Notion file, plus some really cool discounts for Apply, Sendspark, and Persona. So yeah, check the file and let's connect with everyone on LinkedIn. I also added all LinkedIn profiles there as well.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Vlad, for moderating as well, and the Reply team for setting this up. Great chat.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much. And thanks everyone for attending.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone. Take care, everyone. Bye. See you around.